I made a mistake in recalling the events of 12 years ago. It did not take long to hear from some brave men and women in the air crews who were also in that desert. I want to apologize. I said I was traveling in an aircraft that was hit by RPG fire. I was instead in a following aircraft. We all landed after the ground fire incident and spent 2 harrowing nights in a sandstorm in the Iraq desert. This was a bungled attempt by me to thank one special veteran and, by extension, our brave military men and women, veterans everywhere, those who have served while I did not. I hope they know they have my greatest respect and also now my apology.
In the days since NBC News anchor Brian Williams faced the music, the cameras, and the onslaught of social media wonks with little more to do in their existence than live off the misery of others, several things of slightly lesser import have happened around the world.
It is true that if, in fact, diplomacy fails, what I've asked my team to do is to look at all options. What other means can we put in place to change Mr. Putin's calculus? And the possibility of lethal defensive weapons is one of those options that's being examined. But I have not made a decision about that yet.
President Obama has continued not only the American, but the global free world charade that is pretending to punish Russian dictator Vladimir Putin and his illegal, immoral, and unquestionable war on a sovereign nation in order to put together his glorious Soviet Union once again. All because world leaders continue to blubber and bluster in their tailored suits, while Putin laughs and chucks a little more death and destruction at the nation and the people of Ukraine.
North Korea has test-fired a new anti-ship cruise missile demonstrating the increased capability of its naval forces. Images published by Pyongyang state-run newspaper on Saturday also showed leader Kim Jong-un observing the missile being fired from a small naval vessel. North Korea describes it as a new type of cutting-edge anti-ship rocket developed by North Korean scientists that will bring a great change in the Navy's defense of territorial waters.
The diminutive dipstick of a leader in North Korea has fired off a few more new missiles and continues his march toward either Armageddon or naming Dennis Rodman as his Minister of Communication and Body Art, either of which could mean the end of civilization as we know it.
The State Health Department is already trying to monitor people who may have come into contact with a possible case of the measles in Lancaster County. Places like this Sheets near Millersville where they know the person stopped last week. And in some cases, the State Health Department is already quarantining people who may be carrying the virus. On Thursday, a person showing signs of measles visited medical offices at 233 College Avenue.
Until I could provide immunization proof.
Regina Osborne was in the building in a separate office, but a state health department employee still showed up at her door unannounced Sunday morning.
If I did not provide immunization information on the spot, I needed to be quarantined to my home with just my family.
She'd be ordered to spend 21 days at home, or the state would find a place for her.
And thanks to the complete lack of brainwave activity in the cranial orifices of those who believe there's a government conspiracy to infect the entire nation with measles, we're awash in a disease that was once eradicated in the U.S. but is now resurrected and soon to be renamed Jenny McCarthy gingivitis. But these are not the stories and tales that have certain internet wags and cable faux news babblers overflowing with inside sources, in-depth reporting, and plenty of breaking news banner graphics plastered across the screen for your panicked enjoyment.
For the first time this morning when I'm speaking to my sources at NBC, I hear more confusion and frankly I hear fear in their voices about how this is going to play out, because there are even questions being raised about other stories Brian Williams reported in other parts of the world. There's questions being raised about his reporting about Hurricane Katrina. But I want to pause and tell you about something important that I first shared with you here on yesterday's program. I interviewed a pilot who was in Iraq with Brian Williams, Rich Krell. He's told me he was the pilot on the aircraft that Brian Williams traveled on, and that it did come under small arms fire, but not an RPG strike.
Viral voyeur vidiots such as Brian Stelter, who gained his media chops creating a website all about watching the media, which meant a lot of hours spent in comfy chairs with cheese doodle dust on his fingers, while real reporters went out and covered real stories. They're making a cottage industry feeding on Williams' figurative corpse. I'd call them despicable, but wouldn't be certain if they could understand the meaning of the word without spell check and crayons. Brian Williams, gone for 6 months, never be trusted again. He earned this. He screwed up. But let the first spitballing bootlicker who has never done it themselves and lived a life of media purity cast the first invective. Don't hold your breath waiting. That's telling it like it is. Rock on.